why is self-employed a red flag?
So a company is going to look at the skills you have there and be like, these are great skills. Wow, this guy rocks. They're going to see self-employed and they're going to be like, oh, but he might, he might leave us. His own company might be more important than us.
Okay, I got you.
So a lot of companies might look at that and think that you're like a liability or a conflict of interest because you're self-employed.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode here at Sun City SITREP podcast. We have Alexine from Paso Professional Resumes, and she's gonna talk about a little bit of how to help out the community and how we can write our resumes a little bit better so that we can get what we want out of the resume. So, without further ado, here's Alexine. How you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing well, Jaime. Thank you for having me here today.
I know we talked about a lot of things last time you were here and about the things that you do in your company. But I wanna get to know a little bit about. Tell me what would you do in your company and how you got inspired
Yes,
to
absolutely.
do this stuff.
Really good question. So I will tell you that I am a veteran myself. I served 9 years in the Army, and actually 9/11 was my first day of basic training. So within 9 years, I was in Iraq 3 times.
Okay.
And so I'm very familiar with what veterans need in terms of a resume. But I married my husband that I met in the military, and I started in a career of journalism. And after I got pregnant, I realized that I did not want to work. I wanted to stay home. And at that point, I had already worked for a different resume firm. And I would have my resume posted. And so a marketing company picked me up. And they actually reached out to me. I didn't apply for a job, but they offered me a job because I knew how to write a resume and post it and whatnot. And while I was working there, I was away from my son, who at the time was 2 years old. And we actually had a gentleman come in. He was like a career coach. And he came in and he was not very good at what he was doing. He actually like read his slides. He had a like PowerPoint presentation and he read his slides. And I remember us groaning like, oh my goodness. And but the one thing he said that stood out to me was that, you're here with us at work more than you are with your family. You're here 45 hours a week, plus your commute. And if you calculate that, you're at work more hours than you are with your family. And that shocked me because my life was my son, my husband, my family, volunteering at church. That was my life. And I was like, wow, he's not wrong. And so I first propositioned my company, like, can I work from home? Can I do part-time? I wanted to still see what I could do to still serve my company. And I started to realize, well, is this worth it? Is what I'm doing in this company fulfilling? And it wasn't. I was using my skills of writing to earn other companies' money. I was in a marketing company, and on top of that, the quality of my writing wasn't what mattered. It was the quantity of my writing. So I saw that this wasn't fulfilling. So I said, I'm going to go back to writing resumes, and I'm going to just make the ends meet and go back home. And so I started my business thinking that I was going to write 1 or 2 resumes here or there. And people started liking what I was doing, and they started telling their friends. And so now it wasn't like close people to me that I was writing for. Now it was like strangers reaching out to me, and word got out. We started a I was still an I at the time. I started a website. People were giving me reviews, and it just grew and grew. And I got to give people what I knew they needed. It wasn't a resume mill where I had to quickly get work out. It wasn't based on quantity. I could sit with a person, find out what their goals were, find out what their top skills were, and give them themselves written on paper. And so that's what we do. And and it's grown in number, but we still do the same thing. It's like you can go to Walmart and get a blazer. You could go to Target and get a suit. Or you could go to a tailor and get a suit that is sewn to fit your body perfectly.
Exactly.
And that's us. And we don't serve hundreds of clients a month. We serve maybe 20, 30 clients a month. So I started because I wanted to be with my family. That was my motivation. And I wanted to give people what I knew they needed. I wanted to do work that was fulfilling.
Yeah.
And so when I get to work and help someone land interviews, like every single one of our clients that uses our professional resumes lands several interviews.
And how do you know? So you not only you don't only make the resumes, you stay with the client so that you can see some results, right?
That's a really good point. Yes. So that is also how we differentiate ourselves from many of our competitors. We don't hand you a resume and send you on your way. We check in with you. We want you to land interviews. Typically, our clients land several interviews within a month. During COVID, it was like 2 weeks. Leading up until about early 2023, 2 weeks was the mark where people would land interviews. I had people within 2 to 3 weeks telling me I'm working my new job. And so it's just, it's not just landing the interview as well. They come back to us and have all of the new stuff added to their resume.
Oh, awesome. Yes.
And sometimes people aren't looking to leave their job. Sometimes people are invested in their career and want to do really well. So we help them track their progress. We help them to make sure that they're having wins at work. So, yes, we do a lot of, I would say, hand holding, or like we're like cheerleaders for our clients.
Maybe can you give us a little bit of what? Let's say I'll go to you. What should I expect? What is the first thing that you talk about? How does it work? Do you make an appointment? Can you walk me through what the process is, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So we only work by appointment because, again, we're like boutique style. We don't just see hundreds of clients a week. We're not at the office all the time. My writers and I have the freedom to work in a coffee shop or at home or at the office.
Okay.
And obviously I meet my clients in the office, but we have a lot of clients from all over the U.S., so we do virtual meetings. And so everything starts with a free consultation where the first thing I want to talk to you about is your goals. I want to know, what do you want to land a federal job? Do you want to land a law enforcement job? Or do you want a raise at your company? What do your goals look like? And from there, I know, okay, this is what you're going to need.
Okay.
This is what we need to do to get you there. And so the next step is to pick your package, to move forward. We interview all of our clients. That's also what differentiates us. A lot of resume writers want you to fill out a form. I've talked to so many resume writers that, and this is the way they do it. And some of them create fabulous stuff, but they wanted their client to fill out a form, and that's how they're going to write the resume. And to us, we want to give the personal touch. We want you to shine through the resume, and we need to get to know you if we're going to write about you.
Yeah.
And so we spend some time on the phone with you. We find out about your strong points. We find out about your career history. There a lot of times people don't know what they don't know about themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
So sometimes you're telling me stuff and I'm pulling details out that you don't even realize. And so people might say, I have no accomplishments. My work doesn't give me awards. But once I talk to you, I find out that during the Christmas season, 3 different people called off and 1 guy quit, and you were there the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
You were the stand-up guy. And that is a soft skill of being reliable that right now in this job market, many people want. Those are the kind of details that come to the surface. And so after we write your resume, we give you the opportunity to look it over, and we make sure
to prove it.
We make sure you're happy with it, you're satisfied. And more often, I think I started back in 2017 saying, I want people to be satisfied with this. But now, where we're at right now is we want you to be excited. When you see yourself on paper, we want you to be like, I'm going to go use this today. And so that's what we want to see. And then from there, we have coaching. We have a great coach on our team. Her name is Heidi. She helps with interview coaching, career coaching. If you don't know what to apply to next, if you're trying to do a career change, if you just need some extra advice on how to do your job search. I think that the clients we've helped the most right now are interview coaching, because we can help you land the interview. I've had clients tell me they've landed like 26 interviews with with the resume we wrote them. I've had clients tell me they've landed 7 interviews with the resume we wrote them, and then they haven't landed those jobs. And so that's not a problem with your documents. That's a problem with your interview skills. So
Exactly.
we can help with that as well.
So you don't only, you write the resume,
Mm-hmm.
then the client continues to have communication with you, and then they're like, hey, I landed, let's say 3 interviews.
Mm-hmm.
Then they can ask you like, oh, can you help me have a little bit of a better way of communicating so that I can sound and look better during the interview?
So a lot of times people don't know what they're doing wrong. So they just know they're nervous. Like that's a cue. Like I don't do well in interviews because I'm extremely nervous, or I talk too much. Like you don't know exactly like, I don't do this well in interviews. They come to us like, oh, I need some help with the interview. And then Heidi sits with him, and in the first 10 minutes, she can tell what's going on. She can
Okay.
tell if you're long-winded. Some of the common problems me and her discuss, like a person's answers are too long. A person doesn't sell themselves. Like we have written their resume. We know this person is stellar, and they undersell themselves. They don't want to brag, or they don't feel that confidence in themselves. You know, a lot of great workers fly under the radar, just want to get paid and help the people around them.
Exactly.
And they
yes.
don't know how great they are at their job, so they don't sell themselves. And you have to look at the statistics. 50 to 200 people land, 50 to around 200 people churn in a resume.
Okay.
Out of those 50 to 200, maybe 10, maybe 15 get interviewed.
Wow.
And typically one person lands a job.
Now, are the employers using some kind of resume scanning system?
Absolutely. So applicant tracking systems, I would say, so that's the ATS. When you see that acronym online, that's what it's referring to. About 80 to 90% of companies are using an applicant tracking system. And I will say the federal government does not. And we can talk about that in a second.
Yes. Okay.
And so, yes, a lot of companies are using software. And so when a person tells me, I have been applying for jobs, we're in September, I've been applying for jobs since May, and I have not even gotten one call back. Like, I don't know what's wrong. I know I'm qualified. That is a clear indication to me that this person's resume has no keywords in it. So keywords are what these software programs are looking for. They're judging how qualified you are by the words on your resume.
Wow.
And to be really honest with you, those words can be found on the job postings you're applying to. So
I have heard a lot of things people do, and exactly just copy some of those words. You're talking a lot of great points, and I want to just mention. Can you tell us where you're located?
yes, so we are located downtown El Paso.
Oh, awesome.
At 500 North Oregon. We're right a block away from the plaza, and that's where you can come to our office with an appointment and meet up with us. And we also provide virtual, 100% virtual.
Okay.
We get a lot of clients from certain pockets, like Washington, D.C., obviously, lots of federal jobs there.
Okay.
We get a lot of clients from Washington, D.C. We get clients from all over.
Awesome.
So, and there's even clients in El Paso that we never get to meet in person.
Wow, really?
Since COVID, yeah, people are very adept to working with us remotely, but we love to meet our clients in person.
Yeah,
So,
there's a lot of Zoom meetings now. There's a lot of phone calls, so
yeah.
I completely understand. How long have you guys had? How long have you had the business?
I started this business in 2017 December.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah.
And then you went through the pandemic. How did that affect you?
Very good question. So at the beginning, it's really funny. At the beginning of the pandemic, it was like crickets. But I had just upgraded my website and had gotten some bells and whistles added to it. And I created my website myself, but I knew I needed some help to improve it. So we added some bells and whistles, and the agency accidentally put their own email
Oh my
as
God.
a contact. So at the beginning of the pandemic, it was really peaceful for me because I had no clients. But I was like, what is going on? Is this pandemic going to kill my company? And then I said, there's no way I can go from like 5 to 10 calls a week to nothing. So
Yeah.
we fixed it. So that's just a funny little side.
How long did it take, you said? About a week?
About a week. Yeah,
Wow.
about 2 weeks to realize, oh, this isn't
Something's
good.
wrong.
Yeah, and so after that, the pandemic was a crazy time, but we still had people who needed to work.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, when companies transitioned to remote work, a lot of companies made their employees apply to their own jobs
Oh,
all
wow.
over again.
So you had a lot of those people that, hey, I need to fix my resume. Can you help me out? Just so that they can apply to their
to
own
their
job.
own job again, yes.
Wow.
So we had that, and then 2021 and 2022 were really good years for the job market.
Okay.
People, okay, so we all experienced it, that there were a lot of people who didn't work because they were receiving a check, or there were a lot of people who were job hoppers because there were so many opportunities. If they didn't like the way their boss talked to them, they could leave. If they didn't like the hours, if they wanted to go on a vacation, I'm out.
Really?
But those of us who were stand-up workers, who were invested in our careers and who knew how to work, we were the ones who thrived during
That's awesome.
21,
Yeah.
22. And so those were the people coming to us. It was some great years for the job market. That's when we experienced that people were landing interviews within 2 weeks of leaving our office. And so the end of 2023 and especially 2024 have been terrible job markets. This is the first year we have seen, in the span of January to where we are now, we have seen the most layoffs we've ever seen since opening our company. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So then you get to see once you see the unemployment rate is this much, you get to, people will start contacting you more just so I can get the resumes.
To an extent, yes, because I think that the people who are willing to come to us and get their resume written by a professional, maybe use a paid service, are the people that are truly invested in their careers.
In their careers, yeah, exactly.
And so those kinds of people don't, even a person who has experienced unemployment or a layoff, they typically want to jump back in the water.
Yeah.
And so those are the ones coming to us. So I don't know if that would be a really good thing to look into, to find out if unemployment, how it's affecting us. That's a really good point. Yeah.
Now let's look at your website real quick.
Yes.
So let's go to the about real quick. So resume expert. So you have all your team is right there. Mm-hmm. And this is where people can come and just check you out, what you guys do.
Yes.
What is the name of the website?
It's elpasoprofessionalresumes.com.
Okay.
And you can find out about us on About. The services is everything we have to offer. We have actually created a few new products. We're going to start doing monthly resume updates that you can subscribe to.
Oh, wow, really? What is that going to do?
So it's typically for clients that have already gotten their resume written with us, but we're open to people who have never gotten their resume written by us. But what we're going to do is meet with you once a month to see what we need to add to your resume. And so a lot of times people go months or even years without updating their resume. And two things. Number one, if you're a high achiever, if you want to earn more income, if you want to raise a promotion at work, if you know that you want to give yourself a promotion by moving on to the next thing, you want to be keeping track of what you're doing at work. And so let's say you got a new credential, you got a new license, or let's say that last month you created something for work that decreased the amount of time something takes. Let's say you volunteered time to go to that hiring fair and put up a booth. Whatever the case might be, these things should be documented on a regular basis. Even if you're not landing a new job, you want to continually brush up your resume.
Yeah,
That-
because you don't want to be leaving gaps in there, and like people are gonna question like, what did you do for this time?
Exactly that as well. And not only that, let's say that your company opens up a new job this week and it's going to close next week. Also, the people who apply to a position that opens up first are more than likely the ones that get viewed first.
Yeah,
So you don't want an opportunity to pass you by because your resume is not ready. You don't want to turn in a substandard resume and get overlooked. So we help clients to continually, like if I asked you for your resume right now or someone you
I
met
don't
up
even
with.
have one right now, to be honest.
Oh, well, there you go. You should come. Well, no, I'm sure you're happy here.
No,
But
I should try to probably get one just in case, like you said earlier, maybe I want a promotion. I can show my boss, hey,
yeah, or
I've
even
done
just a
this.
raise.
Exactly. And to be honest, I mean, I got out of the army. Uh, I opened up my businesses. I still have my businesses right now. So there's a lot of things that I could put in my resume that will make me look good,
Yes,
essentially.
yes, exactly. And a lot of times you don't even realize, what is there, what we could be adding, how we could be improving.
And that's a lot of the questions. Like it happens. It happens to us in the military when you get out. How do I translate? I know there's a lot of
Absolutely.
websites that can do this for us, but they're not gonna be doing it like you said. You're there talking to the people. Because if you tell me to write a paper down, I'm not gonna have enough space to say everything. You get me? Like there's a lot of things that are gonna be missing. I know there can be a lot of questions, but how do I translate that whatever I did in the military to civilian world? You get me?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So number one, jargon. We have our language
Yes.
in the Army, which is different than those in the Air Force. Even reading the documents that clients from the Army to the Air Force give us are two different things. Even I don't know the jargon fully from other branches. I'm
Exactly,
familiar
no, yeah.
with it. But if you consider that when a person who is a civilian reads a resume full of jargon, you might have a lot of qualifications written down that are going to get overlooked because that person has no idea what you're saying. Even job titles, I don't know, Patriot missile operator.
Okay. That's a Fort Bliss thing here.
There's two ways to put your job title on the resume. You could put your military job title and a slash, and then what it translates to in the civilian world.
Okay.
And so that you would want to put something to the effect of military, off the top of my head, Patriot missile operator or Patriot missile technician would translate to maybe something like a weapon technician or
Okay.
something to that effect. IT, something
Okay.
in IT. And so there's a lot of even like command sergeant major. People in the civilian world have heard that, but they don't know that is the top NCO.
Exactly, yes.
So that would translate to operations director, CEO, just depending on what your role was, director of education if you were at the academy here at Fort Bliss.
I get you.
So there are different titles that don't translate well. A platoon sergeant, like you put platoon sergeant on a resume, only another veteran or someone who is a DOD employee is going to know what
Yeah.
that means. So you want
And they do a lot. Platoon sergeant, I mean, of course, it's like not as much as sergeant majors, obviously, but
Yeah.
You take care of soldiers as well.
And you're like a second line leader.
Exactly.
You command a team, or in the civilian world, you direct a team of over 30 personnel, 40, typically over 40 personnel. So you want to think about the jargon that you're including on your resume and translate it. Another little nugget is to look at your NCOERs.
Exactly.
Look at your OERs if you're an officer. Your bullet, if you went through, and if you're right now you're listening to this and you're a private, make sure that your raters write good stuff about
Exactly.
you.
I mean, can you bring in counseling statements?
Yes, absolutely. And so when you exit your military career, you can use your evaluation reports to write bullet points onto your resume that
Yeah.
look really good. So you want to be looking at your evaluation reports, your award write-ups,
Yeah.
thinking about the things, and you have to remember that accomplishments aren't always awards. So mentoring people is an accomplishment. If you mentored someone and they won Soldier
Of the month.
of the month, Soldier of the Year, that is an accomplishment on your part as well as a mentor. If your team, your whole team got 100% at weapons qualifications with 0 retries, like that is an accomplishment. That is accomplishment on your part as a leader.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
digging deeper, those are the things we help clients do. Dig deeper to really think about what you've done.
People don't really understand, like a counseling statement in the military, for example, that's just you setting expectations and then you following up. You being there for that soldier, you tell them, hey, I want you to accomplish this or do this. And then the next month, you as a leader, you got to be there inspecting what you expect. You get me? There's a lot of things that translate, from the military to the civilian world. And I'll be the first to tell you that I have no idea how to change those words to make me sound good. You get me? At the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So I see that you have a get started button right there.
Yes.
Can you go to it, please? So what is it that you're asking right here?
So the sooner you get started with us, the sooner you're going to land interviews. We used to have a longer wait period, but now that we have full-time writers on board, our writers have transitioned from part-time to full-time. So if you scroll back up to the top, if you click on that book a consultation, you can choose what kind of consultation we will conduct with you. These top 3 ones are our free consultations. You can meet with me in person, you can meet with me over the phone or through Zoom. And if you scroll, you can see that we also offer a resume review. That one is a paid service. But what I'm going to do is sit with you for 45 minutes in a Zoom meeting. I'm going to record the call, and you're going to receive the recording afterwards. And I'm going to give you a line-by-line information on how to improve your resume if you want to do it yourself.
Awesome.
And then you can come back next month with what you improved, and we could do it again. And
for the same service.
Or you can use our subscription, which if you go to the More button, shop, and those top 2 are our subscriptions. So the one on the left is for federal, and the one on the right is for professional. You can simply go to our website and use that button. And what we do is we have you fill out a form, turn in your resume, and then we're going to conduct a meeting with you to see what needs to be improved on your resume. And then we're going to send it back to you. And the next month, the same thing. So let's say we complete your resume, then we can move on to your cover letter. Then we can move on to your LinkedIn, whatever the case might be. And coming up soon, these subscription members are also going to get free access to our webinars. We're going to be, right now our webinars are free, but they are going to transition to paid webinars. And the people who are subscribed will have the opportunity to come to those for free.
So there you go, guys. I mean, right now they're free. They're going to be transitioning to paid services. But, I mean, those are things that, little nuggets that people can take. So you do, everything's obviously for federal. What's the difference? What are you doing different from federal to just professional resume?
That is a really great question. So for federal jobs, you have to apply through usajobs.gov.
Okay.
You can also go to clearance jobs if you have a clearance. You cannot enter into that website without a clearance. But USA Jobs is where 90% of our clients go, and that is where you apply for a federal job. Now, a federal resume has to be tailored to what agencies on USA Jobs want to see.
Okay.
The way that I explain it is applying for a federal job is like playing a board game with your friends, right? There's specific rules you have to follow.
Yeah.
You want to follow a strategy if you want to win, like Monopoly, right?
Yeah.
Like a 2-hour game because the rules are so detailed. the federal agencies are the same way. Your resume has to be tailored to what they want to see. Anytime you're applying to a federal job, you have to show that you have all the qualifications they're asking for. So your resume is going to be a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Where we stick around 5, maybe 6, 7 pages for a federal resume, which for a professional resume, you never want one that is that
What is the
long.
normal size for a professional resume?
2 pages.
2 pages.
The one
What if I have a 1 page because I have no experience? What happens then?
So 1-page resume is a myth. Number one, people with 15, 20 years of experience have been told this lie that they have to fit their resume onto 1 page. Now, this is from like the 90s when when a human was looking at your resume.
exactly.
They didn't want to see 2 pages, much less 3. They wanted to be quickly look at it, figure out. Well, now these companies are using software to scan your resume. So with that, you're speaking to robots, essentially AI, and you're speaking to humans. So you want your resume to be full of the right keywords. And if you're using a 1-page resume, chances are there's not enough words.
They're gonna overlook it.
And number 2, it has to be beautiful. Like, beautiful is not the word you would think to use for a resume, but it has to be like when your resume makes it past the software and it lands in a human's hands, you want them to
stand
look
out.
at it and be like, wow, I wanna at least talk to this guy, and it's always awesome when a client gets back with us and tells us, hey, the hiring official complimented my resume.
Really?
Yeah, so that's always good news. Now, going back to what I said earlier, like 90% of federal agencies, probably more, 95% of federal agencies are not using software to scan your resume. It's actually a human looking at your federal resume. And a lot of times people create resumes that are hard to read, that are hard to scan through and get the information.
They don't flow.
It's hard they put long paragraphs of verbiage on their resumes, and the person looking at it, you might have a ton of great qualifications written in this paragraph, but that's not going to get read because it's not easy for the human eye to digest it. So your resume should have smaller paragraphs or smaller bits of information.
And that's what I wanted to ask you as well, is like, let's say, what are three elements a professional resume should have, and what are 3 elements for federal resumes to have, because those are going to be looked by humans?
Yes, absolutely.
What is the difference? How would you say
That is a really good question. So the 3 elements of a really good professional resume. Number 1, you always want to have a cover letter.
Okay.
You don't want to scroll through on Indeed and see this job that you're like, I am such a good fit, and then it says must turn in cover letter required, and you don't have one. And there you are. I had a client just tell me yesterday, and it was hilarious. We laughed together. He said, I needed a cover letter the other day before I even came to you, and I just sat there and off the cuff wrote a bunch of nonsense because I needed to turn something in.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be stuck in that boat. You want to write compelling stuff in your cover letter. So that's number 1. Everyone should have a cover letter. Number 2, so again, to repeat the stats, 50 to 200 people apply to a job.
Yeah.
10, maybe 15 of them get interviewed, and 1 lands the role. So It sounds crazy, but your resume needs to have a level of perfection.
Yeah.
There can't be any typos. All of the font has to match. If you accidentally did like your first job description in size 10 font and your second job description in size 11 font, it's going to stand out and look funny.
Yeah.
So you want your resume to be beautiful. You don't want it to be one of those $5 templates that you buy on Etsy.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Yes, with a picture up in the corner. Those are like red flags for hiring officials.
Okay.
On top of that, those don't flow through applicant tracking systems. And for number 3, so we said number 1 was a cover letter. Number 2 is near perfection. With 2B would be a beautiful format, a good format, and the third element would be definitely those keywords to get you past the applicant tracking systems. Without the right keywords in your resumes, you're going to miss opportunities.
Yeah, I had a friend that he literally just copied on the application. He was like, past a year and nobody had called him. I'm like, bro, it's because they're literally copying what's in the description of
I
the
can tell you
job.
why that didn't work. So, number one, that was when applicant tracking systems first came out. That was the advice everyone gave each other: cut it and make the font 2 and put it in the corner of your resume. That's what people used to do. Or make it white so they can't see it and put it on your resume. I even had professors who would give
Really?
that advice. And maybe in the early days of applicant tracking systems, that worked to get you into the interview. But if you didn't have those skills, once you tried to answer
Yeah,
those
exactly.
questions, so that's number one. But now a lot of applicant tracking systems use a score system.
Okay.
So like 0 to 100, like your average test. And if you're scoring near 100, it looks like you cut and pasted the job description. So they don't want to see near 100 scores because that's a red flag that you just cut and pasted.
So now explain to me a little bit on that side right there. So you put in, let's say I copied and pasted the job description into my resume. Then I send it in, gets picked up by the ATS system. What is it, the ATS or ATS system?
ATS, because S stands for system.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry. So it gets picked up by the ATS. Normally, the ATS will say, okay, this is a good resume, but then it goes to a human, and once the human sees the score, or how does that work?
Yes. So the ATS doesn't decide if it's good or bad. It decides according to how many keywords are in the resume and where they are placed.
Okay.
So the top of your resume is more weighted than the bottom of your resume.
Okay.
And so it'll give you a score from 0 to 100. If you get 100, that means all the keywords were in your resume more than one time. Now, that's too much. When then a human comes, like a recruiter or hiring official, and looks at this list and can pick which of these applicants they want to apply to. I've even heard that some people don't look at the resume. That is rare. A lot of people will actually print the resume out or view it. And so what you want is a score that's between like 50 and 80, because to be honest with you, we have used software that is out there, and that's where we score once we write our resumes.
Okay.
Because what we're doing is we're analyzing the job posting. We're looking for the keywords. We're not just cutting and pasting them. And then on top of that, let's say like for a writer, which I use that example all the time because that's what I am and that's what I know. So let's say that I was looking at a writer for a marketing company.
Okay.
They're going to want someone who is familiar with content creation. They're going to want someone who's familiar with SEO,
Yep.
measuring metrics of your marketing campaigns. And they're going to want someone who is keen with editing, self-editing, or editing others' work. So right there, I mentioned several keywords that might be in the bullet points.
Yeah.
So on top of including those keywords, I want a sample for each
Okay.
of those. So for instance, with my own company, I am the one who creates all the SEO strategy for my own website. And I measure the metrics. And within my first year of creating my website, I grew my client base by 300%
Oh, wow.
by employing my SEO, by employing and measuring my SEO strategies.
Yeah.
So that would be a bullet point that would include the keyword and also a example of how
How you used it exactly.
So once your resume makes it past the scan, you're not scoring too high, but you are scoring well, and then it lands in a human's hands, they're going to see that you actually have those skills. If you're just cutting and pasting, or if you're just putting generic qualifications on a resume, when a human sees it, it's not going to make an impression.
I get you.
So that's what you're looking for.
Now let me move a little bit towards, for example, let's say I'm looking for a job and I come to you and I'm like, hey, I need a resume. But I'm applying for a lot of different jobs. That can potentially be one, two can be the same type of job and then one is completely different. Am I supposed to be like tailoring those resumes for each job application?
Okay, so that is a great question. I keep saying that.
No, you're good. You're good. Well, thank you. It's a good question. I mean, no, I'm just like,
So, in a perfect world where a person doesn't have a full-time job and children and hobbies and a
Yes.
spouse,
Yes, yes.
yes, take all the time you need to tailor your resume to every single job.
Okay.
That is how it works best. You will read blogs out in the world that say tailor your resume to every job, and
Sorry.
that's for like single nerds. No offense out there.
Yeah, it's because the thing that happens to most people, like let's say, uh, you're past 30 years old, for example.
You're the average job seeker.
And then yeah, exactly. And then now the pool that you're trying to find the job is way bigger than
Yes.
so now it would
The
be
stakes are up.
exactly.
So, the way me and my team work, and that's why I mentioned we always first ask about your goals.
Okay.
Our resumes are typically targeted. And to be really honest with you, most people aren't looking for 5 different careers. Most people are a writer or a person in marketing, an engineer, IT technician. So this is what most people are. So they're looking in the realm of certain jobs. They know what they want to do next. Now, there are times, especially with veterans, where a person has spent a lot of their military career, they have spent it teaching
Yeah.
at an academy, or they might teach at basic training or at the
Yeah.
sergeant's major academy. And so then when they get out of the military, they see, well, in the military I was IT, but I was also an educator. So they have these 2 different routes they can take. So my goal with a person is always to streamline their job search. So I do create targeted resumes so that you can use the same resume at 4 different job applications. And I do that by looking at all the possibilities. I'm predictive. I'm looking at all the possibilities that you want to apply to.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to federal jobs, it is real, and that is also why we created our subscription, because for federal jobs, it is really good and even more important to tailor your resume to every job. But we know that, number one, a lot of clients aren't going to come back and pay for an update. A lot of clients don't want to take that time. It might not even be the cost, it might be the time. And so we are predictive. Our success is based on how many people land interviews. So we want to make that happen. So we go and we look at jobs across several agencies that you tell us are within your scope that
Yeah.
you want to be applying to, and we find those keywords and we include them in the resume, so that when you take that resume and use it to 4 different jobs, you're going to land, you're going to get
Yeah.
referred, or
gotcha,
you're going to
gotcha.
land interviews.
Now let me ask you this. Let's say it's me, right? First of all, David, I love my job, right? But let's say I'm 42 years old. I mean, I am 42 years old. I'm 42 years old and I want a career change, complete career change.
Yes,
Like,
this
what
is
happens
fun.
then? But I love my job, okay?
So this is I like get excited because these are fun resumes for us to write. It's a challenge. If you asked me early on in my career, when I didn't have as much time as we have now, or the team that I have now, these were like the challenges that I was like, oh, but now we're like, yeah, let's do this. Number one, Heidi is our career coach, and she's going to give you the actionable steps that are above and beyond your resume to help you with a career change. That's number one. Number two, with a career change resume, you want to look at what your transferable skills look like.
Okay.
And what you want to do next. And I can tell you that one of the first resumes I wrote was a career change resume, and that is what kind of spun into this company.
Awesome.
What had happened was I was working for a resume company before, and I had left because I had my first son, and I had a coworker while I was at Starbucks, and she said, "Hey, my dad needs a resume. He's changing careers." And I said, "Oh, that's great. Your dad can go to that company over there." And she was like, "No, you should write his resume." And I told her, like, I don't do that anymore. And she's like, "Just write my dad's resume." And they paid me. They didn't just expect it for free, which was awesome. But I got to sit with him find out what his career change looked like. And he wanted to go from being like a store manager in retail to a technician in the medical field.
Oh wow, yeah, it's
Yes,
completely different.
completely different. And so what I did was I looked at his career in the retail side, him being a store manager, not just a first line manager, but like third line. And I saw what the great things he had done. He was a go-getter.
Yeah.
His company, his store was thriving.
Okay.
So I wrote all that into the resume, and then the top of the resume was all about this new career. It was about the new skills he was learning at school.
Oh, I get you. I get you.
We really fleshed out his education. On the typical resume, your education is 1 or 2 lines. If you have 1 degree, like 1 or 2 lines per degree or per credential. On his, we gave like a whole job description of his career, of his education, I'm sorry. And then we wrote his internship. Like I pulled out of him every detail I could get about his internship. And you know, he landed that career change. He moved into that new phase of his life within like a month or so.
And I feel like a lot of the times when, you know, life happens, obviously, right? You change careers a lot, you know, not because you have a bad job or you don't like your job or whatever. It just sometimes it just happens that you change jobs a lot. And I give the example, especially when you get out of the military.
Oh, yes.
You get, I mean, back in my day, sound like I'm back in now.
Back in my day.
Back in my day, back in 1969, when I was getting out of the military, you know, they would send us through ACAP. I don't think that's called anymore like that. I don't know.
I think it's still called something. I think it's like CTAP now. I don't remember.
Something weird, yeah. But I mean, I remember it was more like the main thing that they taught us was how go to this website that would tell us, okay, I was a tanker, 19 kilo. What can a 19 kilo offer in the civilian world? And that was the biggest thing they would teach us, you know. And I feel like having such a big career change. I mean, first of all, the military tells you like. It sucks because sometimes it's your friends. They're like, "Why are you getting out? Like the economy is so bad out there." I'm like, "The economy is bad all the time. Like, if I'm not ready, if I don't want to be in the army anymore, like I should be looking." You know what I mean? And the tools weren't. They were there, but it was. I feel like it was more like check the
box.
Check the box. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
on your way.
Yeah, ACAP, you did it. Like you wrote a resume, but then I would look at the resume and it would still look like I wrote it in high school. You know what I mean?
Really
because of the services that they would offer. I don't know how it is now. I'm not talking bad about the Army now, okay? But it is something that is very traumatizing.
You bring up such good points. When I got out in 2009, it was because we didn't want to go back to Iraq. It's like, I'm done here.
Yeah.
I've been to Iraq 3 times. Like, I'm done here. So, yeah, you know, there's always valid reasons for getting out. There's plenty of people who get out with 20 years behind them. There's plenty of people that get out because of medical reasons.
Exactly.
Like, they get...
messed up.
Med boarded. And then there's people that are just done with their military career. They did what they did and they're moving on. And I get clients who sit in front of me and say, I just had a client yesterday and I can't remember what her career field was. But she said, I'm going into this career now and I did this in the military. So none of that is important because I'm doing a career change.
Yeah.
And it was a phone call. So on my end, I was like, no, and, you know, because we advocate for our clients and I remember a while back, I got a gentleman who was an officer and he started out, he had and actually he might've been NCO. He had so much to learn because he started the military very young and he progressed very fast.
Yeah.
And so he was put into high levels of leadership and he was given a run for his money. And when the way he would talk, he would tell me what he did. And I analyzed his paperwork. So I knew on paper that he commanded like hundreds to thousands of people because he was at battalion level. And he did big stuff. But to him, he was just an infantry. You know, like, I'm not going to go shoot a gun and I'm not going into law enforcement. So what can I do with this career? And I'm like... There is so much leadership in itself, operations, like there's so much that people do in the military. And you don't understand that the scope of what you do
Exactly.
is big. Like, as you know, you could be like somewhere between 21 and 24, and you could be a squad leader,
Exactly. Yeah.
commanding 2 first line leaders who are your team leaders and a team of 8 men
Yeah.
as a young 24-year-old kid. You
Which is
know,
wild, to be honest. I mean,
yes.
yeah, I
And
mean, it's
so,
pretty wild.
boom, you're like a second line leader. If you look at, let's just be simple and look at Dillard's, you're commanding the shoe department.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah. Exactly.
you know, you're already in line to move up to management
Yeah.
when you come out of the military as an E5
And I feel like
or an
that
E6, you know?
I feel like that comes a lot from we always putting ourselves down. We in the military. We put ourselves down by MOS, like tankers and infantry. You know, we're always fighting each other. But essentially, you know, most of us, my ASVAB was pretty good. I think it was like 106.
I don't even remember. I didn't try.
You didn't actually. I had to
I
raise
was
my.
a mechanic.
I I had to raise my ass back because my recruiter, which I bumped into him in the military, well, you know, like after like 6 or 7 years, and I told him, you know, like, bro, you kind of screwed me a little bit, you know. But that dude was like, yeah, he showed me a video, and I'm so dumb, but like he showed me a video of like a tank jumping, you know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, I want to do that, bro. You know what I mean? He was a tanker, obviously.
You could see yourself?
And he was like, you know, this is what he told me. He's like, don't worry about your English portion, your reading portion, or your math portion. So I didn't. I just like ABC,
Because
ABC.
you were 18. Maybe you were 17.
Yeah, I think I was
so
18.
much. That is also really fun conversation because when I was 18, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my
Exactly.
life. I knew that I wanted to party and hang out with my friends. And really, honestly, my dad was in the military.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I love long.
Now you were also in the military, right?
Yes, I was in the military as well. Long story short, I was adopted by my mom and dad. Awesome people. I love you, Dad. And my mom is now in heaven. I love her too. But he transitioned from full-time Army to reserves to come home and adopt me. And I would see him come home in his uniform, and him and his friends, I would go to like events and they'd be like, don't join the military. I'd be like 10, 11, don't join the Army. But I would see my dad. It looked so cool. And so I was graduating high school, and I wanted to go to California with my friends. And my mom said, you need to go sign up for college or talk to that recruiter, because you're not going to California without starting your life.
Oh, wow.
And so I went. The recruiter was easier, you know, and I went and I was like, here's my ASVAB score. I hadn't even known that I was going to join the military when I took the ASVAB. And so I remember, like, flash forward many years, I'm already out of the military. I might not have been out yet. And this man comes up to Starbucks buying a coffee in the drive-thru, and he's like, your name is Alexine Garcia. You joined the military in 2001. And I was like, who is this guy? And I was creeped out. And he was like, I am so-and-so. I was your recruiter.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, wow. But at that point, I could thank him, because the military, I mean, if you know me, you know that I'm a believer in Christ. I'm a Christian. I became a Christian in the Army. I met my husband. I got 2 degrees paid for. And I have a home because of the loan, you know. And now, you know, with the help of Warrior Alliance, I have finally gotten the disabilities that you
deserve, yeah.
I deserve. So the military has done so much for my life. The silly decision I made back in 2001 that landed me in basic training on the day of 9/11.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, like it's been a great. And even now I can relate to my clients who are veterans, and I know what they're going through. I know how to write their careers onto paper. Like, the military has done so much for me.
I do. When I got out of the military, of course, I did 15 years, 15 and a half, something like that. I was bitter. I was like, no, I'm not buying the veteran hat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now I have like 4 of them. After, like, I think it's gonna be 10 years in December. It'll be 10 years that I've been out. But yeah, I was. First of all, I mean, I like my recruiter. Like, I mean, I want him to, maybe he sees me out there, but I like my recruiter. It's just that I was thrown off of how easy it was for him to convince me, hey, don't do these sections.
Yeah.
And it kind of screwed me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I saw him. I wasn't mad at him. We were laughing about it, but he showed me a video that is impossible to do. Like,
Yeah.
now I know as a tanker for 15 years that if a tank is jumping, you're gonna tear a bunch of torsion bars on the tank. You're gonna be doing a lot of maintenance. You shouldn't be doing that, jumping a tank. You know what I mean? It sounds cool, but now I understand kind of how I got screwed at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because I could have had a much better job and I would have translated much better in civilian world.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because it is, I mean, if you're going to be analytics in the military or you're going to be doing psyops or whatever, that's going to take you further.
Especially in the medical field.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nurses and whatnot. Absolutely.
I am glad I did the military thing. I am blessed. I'm 100%. I wasn't expecting 100%. I got out and I came back from Germany. I did my paperwork here in Fort Bliss at the hospital, and within 6 months, I think it was like 7 months, 8 months, I got my 100% disability off the bat. But I can tell you that now, yes, I wear the veteran hats. Now I'm understanding what I did. How can it translate to
And that everything works out.
exactly?
Yeah,
Exactly.
everything works out and it all happens for a reason. And whether you're a tanker or psyops, there are transferable skills
Exactly.
that can get you far in civilian world. And so it's a difficult transition. It's even like, especially like in the military, we have to. We have to survive. We have to do well.
Yes.
You know, like for our generation of military veterans, we went to war. You know, we went
Yes.
on deployments so that you had no, like, failure was not an option.
It wasn't. No.
And so you had this community of leaders bolstering you. You had NCOs, officers that wanted to see you do well in most cases, not all cases, but like you have this community that
Exactly.
is helping you to do better. And you have people training you how to lead your people.
Exactly.
You have people training you how to do the best at your job. And so you come from that community. You have academies and like you have a, what is it called? A readiness NCO who
Exactly,
makes
yes.
sure that you go to all your schools on time.
Exactly.
You get to go to special schools when you turn an E5, E67. And so you have this great environment of learning, growing that you're not even, like, you're blind to it
Yeah.
when you're in it.
You're not
'Cause
even
it's
tapping
just,
into it.
you're just like, this is a way of life. So when you retire or get out of the military, you have that platform.
Exactly.
And too many people don't realize that they're standing on a podium
Exactly.
when they get out of the military.
And you don't. I see it now because I've been out for going on 10 years. But when I first got out, I was like, man, like so many mistakes I made, like that I should have been keeping track of things so that I can then put myself
Yes.
into a better position when I'm writing my resume and this and that, right?
Yes.
So, little segue between mistakes, right? What are the 3 top mistakes you see on resumes from a civilian and from a veteran side?
Okay, so from the civilian side, let's start with veteran side. So 3 mistakes from a veteran side is what we've been discussing. You exit the military standing on that podium, but you write your resume as though you're starting from scratch. That's
Oh, wow.
the first thing I see. Like, your achievements are that not there. You know, stop and think about why. Yeah, some of us like get awards, like you got an AAM because it's time for all of us to get an AAM.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
But
They're gimmies.
yeah, there are some that, like, I had a gentleman the other day that he did something special over at the camp in California.
29.
No, the NTC. There we go.
Oh, NTC. I'm sorry. Yeah.
He, like, someone was absent, so he had to take their spot and like command the team, and he did so good that he got a coin.
Okay.
And that might not seem like a big deal, but that was a big deal. I had another guy. This guy was out of control, though. He was like next level. He's probably like, I don't know what he's doing now.
What do you
But
mean he was out of control?
So on his on his one of his NCOERs, his bullet point read "True American Soldier," because
He probably wrote that himself.
no, he was
No?
in a firefight.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
he was like Hacksaw Ridge style, like
Oh, I love that
going
movie.
back in and getting people and taking them to safety.
Wow,
And
really?
yeah, and then he was sniping. Like he was
Really?
like shooting the enemy and getting his battle buddies to safety. And so his raider wrote like, this is what he did, and he wrote "True American Soldier." I was like,
Oh my God.
this dude is out of control. That was a really fun.
How did you use that?
I wrote direct on his federal resume. I have a key achievement section for that job description, and I wrote a bullet point that said direct quote from evaluation report, and then in quotations I wrote "True American Soldier" and what he
Oh my
did.
God.
Yeah, like you can do that.
Did he get a job?
You know, he didn't follow back up with me, but his wife did, and his wife. So that's another cool. But hey, we're like totally veering from the question. But yeah, so that's like the number one mistake is veterans not writing their career into their
Yeah,
resume.
exactly.
Number two would be if you have a resume that looks like everybody else's resume, you're not going to stand out. I have gotten veteran resumes that, you know, I know that there are people out there that will write your resume for
Yeah.
free and they'll do a really great job, but those people need to stop cutting and pasting bullet points, because if you come to me and he comes to me and both of your bullet points are exactly the same, like that's not quality.
And it's not just that, to be honest. It's like when you're writing an NCOER or something like that, there's a certain way that is supposed to be written.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't necessarily translate to a civilian person. Like they're not gonna understand. Like,
That is such a good point too. Like the jargon, that's another mistake, is writing stuff we know onto your resume. It has to be translated for the civilian world.
Okay.
That's number two. And number three is like a mistake for civilians and veterans, is using like unsightly resumes. Like a resume needs to be perfect.
Yeah.
You are one in 200 people that is going to land the job. You can't have an ugly resume.
Yeah, exactly.
There can't be 5 different fonts on your resume. Even the way you lay out your words, like it has to be good looking.
I don't think people understand what that does. You know, like to somebody looking at, to the viewer.
Yes, the way your resume looks portrays your level of professionalism.
Exactly.
And so for civilians, the top 3 mistakes I see is like people thinking they need a 1-page resume, or thinking that they're just going to put a bunch of qualifications and bullet points and a timeline and it's going to work.
Yeah.
That's number one. And like I said with the other one, creating ugly resumes that aren't near perfect. And I would say number 3 is kind of related to the first mistake, which is not including your accomplishments, not including who you are on the resume. And so the example I give, and if you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll know that I say, you know those memes where the person looks like their dog?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's like a dude, it's his bulldog named Meatball, and it's him, and they
Yeah.
both have like an underbite. Or like the girl with the long flowing hair.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Your resume should be the same way.
Okay.
Like when we look at your resume, we see who you
I
are.
get you.
If you're a go-getter, if you're a high achiever, if you're just plain reliable, whoever you are should translate well on the resume.
I get
People
you.
don't do that.
It's. I feel like people get too fixated on one thing, and they think that one thing is. You know how you hear all these TikTok videos like, oh, your resume should have this, or your Instagram video, or whatever, you know what I mean? And people get fixated just in that, and then they forget about everything else.
Everything else. That's true. For a while, it was the 1-page resume.
Exactly, yeah. Now, let me ask you something else.
Okay.
After the pandemic, we saw in the community, like a lot of people started their own job, their own companies, or they did side hustles.
Yes.
Now, can you put side hustles?
Absolutely.
How can you translate that to a resume?
I have a really good story again for that one. And I unfortunate that the lady did not. I only got to do the free consultation with her. I was really hoping she would purchase our services because it would have been a fun project to work on. But she had a career before she had children. She was like a Mexican mom. And you know those pretty Mexican moms
Yes, yes,
that
yes.
always are put together like, ay, vamos a Walmart, and they have to put on their lipstick. She was like that. And so she had her career, and on the top of her resume, she would meal prep for her neighbors, and
Oh,
she would
wow.
sell Mexican candy. And like on the weekends to the neighborhood kids, she would sell pepinos or watermelon
Yeah.
with chamoy and stuff. And she turned that, and then she like wrapped it into stay-at-home mom without saying stay-at-home mom. Like she talked about how in there she had to manage her income to do her bills. I'm like putting it in layman's terms, but
Yeah.
she wrote it on there. And I was like, she turned being a mom, like kudos to all the moms out there that like you do these things. You could
Exactly.
like turn being a mom if we wanted to onto a resume. But she just thought about all the things she did. She didn't even write, she knew better than to write self-employed,
Oh, okay.
because a lot of times self-employed is a red flag.
Why is self-employed a red flag?
So a company is going to look at the skills you have there and be like, these are great skills. Wow, this guy rocks. They're going to see self-employed and they're going to be like, oh, but he might, he might leave us. His own company might be more important than us.
Okay, I got you.
So a lot of companies might look at that and think that you're like a liability or a conflict of interest because you're self-employed. So I often tell clients who are self-employed to put yourself as the manager, the CEO, but don't put business owner.
Okay.
Don't put self-employed. A lot of IT guys out there, they don't even see it as a side hustle. But if their friend is like using a janky computer and they're at their house, they're like, man, let's upgrade this, you
Yeah.
know? Or their aunt is like, oh, my screen stopped working, or, like that I have a virus. They go and they fix it for them.
Yeah, exactly.
And they do this for everyone in their life, their friends, their family. And then maybe they might start charging $50, I'll fix your
Yeah.
computer. We can turn that into a job description on your resume and put the skills there.
Wow.
For what you do. Side hustles should be on a resume. You should try and not list it as self-employed, and
But
just
there's a way to put it in there.
think about the things you do. You have to manage your own money, especially if it's just you. You have to manage your own money. You have to do some marketing to get clients
It's
in
a
the
lot
door.
of hats you gotta wear.
Yeah, so all of that can be different bullet. Now, don't get distracted. I have a gentleman that comes to me, and he owns his own company, and he does everything. He's like amazing. And actually, his name is Sam. He owns a solar company, Sun City Solar,
Well, that's what you're talking about earlier.
and we tweak his resume to what he's going to apply to because he does so much. He either is doing marketing, or he's doing operations, or he's managing a team, and we kind of tweak his job description to meet what he's applying to. So he wears so many hats, but we don't need to put all those hats. But he's one who's willing to come back to me
Oh, I get
and
you. I
get
get
his
you.
resume fixed each
So
time.
he can tailor it to whatever job
He's
he's going.
one of those that will take the time.
That's exactly what we talked about earlier. Let me give you another question real quick. For example, we have a perfect example here. We have Mr. Albert, right? This guy came in here as an intern, right? But did so good, he created his own position
Nice.
at the end of the day, right? Then I came along in the company, started the podcast, right? He told me, he's like, okay, I'm an audio, I do audio stuff on the side. Now he moved on to podcasting, right?
Fun.
How can you translate all those skills within the same company? Can that be done as well?
Yeah, it's hard to I can try and explain it without a visual in front of me.
What do
But-
you need me to pull something up?
No, because I don't have like a sample ready to show you. But the way that you would do that is on the resume, let's back up and explain that when a person looks at your resume, a hiring official looks at your resume, they are looking at it 10 seconds and going to move on. And they're going to say, let's shred this, or, oh, I want to look at this a little bit longer. Let's put it in this pile.
Okay.
And so if you have moved up in a company, you don't write each job as its own description. You have your job description with the header, like your job title, the time you were there, the city, the company.
Okay.
And then you don't do that all over again. Just below it in bold, you put your new job title or your old job title, actually, because we're moving backwards,
Yeah.
and the time you were there. So that under one header, you have two jobs. So then the person pauses and sees, oh, he got a promotion here, or oh, he
Oh, I
was
get
given
you.
two roles here. That's also how we write military resumes.
Okay.
A person who is an E7 in the military has moved up how many times?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
not just with each rank, but even within each rank, they might have different roles. So we list it all under U.S. Army with different dates and bold, so that we can show it's all under one job.
Exactly. I like that. To be honest, I never thought about it like that. But again, I don't write resumes. I suck at writing resumes. So I've never really. I always thought like it seems repetitive. But now the way that you explain it, okay, it makes sense. It makes a lot more sense. So there you go, Albert. You can do that. Just don't leave us.
Don't do it.
Just don't leave us.
Don't write a resume, Albert.
Yes.
I think that they like you here.
Yes. Now let me ask you this. Now, how often should you update your resume?
So
Because you do have the
right
service.
there, you see that 2024.
Can you zoom it in a little bit more, DJ, please?
The one that has like the gold the award on the front
Okay.
in the bottom left corner? I give that thing away.
The gold cup? Is that what you mean?
I don't know if it's possible, but should we? There we go. Awesome. And then down left. Awesome sauce.
The career.
So, and actually both of those. If anyone hears this podcast and reaches out to me and says, hey, I want your career and gold planner, I'll give it to you for free. If someone is like 54 and they're like, ooh, I need that job hunting over 40 book, I'll give it to you for free. These are documents that I sell. There are guidebooks and I sell them for $29. But if you ask me for it, I'll give it for free. That's like, I just love giving those away for free because they're full of information. And I'm not just promoting something, I'm actually going to give you some information. So that career and goal planner, it has sections in it so that when like, let's say that Albert, he's like, hey, if you use this software, it saves you 3 hours of time in the editing process.
Okay.
Or, hey, check this out. I created an Excel sheet that now we can do better when we're documenting our data of how many listeners we have, and we can get now we know exactly what is our ROI.
Yep.
Let's say he created that and you're like, dude, that's awesome. And then in 2 months from now, you do something related to that that's like, now your bottom line, you really contributed to the bottom line. I'm just giving a quick off the cuff example. Albert should go and write that down on his resume immediately, even before the 2 months. Like as soon as he gives you that product, he should go and write it down on his resume. And not everyone knows, or you don't have the time to go sit down, or you just don't want to.
Yeah.
You can go into the goal planner. There's sections where real quickly you can type it in and click save on it and have it in your documents or have it in your desktop, so that then in November, when Albert's like, you know what, I do a good job around here, like I'm gonna ask for a raise.
Exactly.
I'm gonna ask Jaime or David for a raise.
Exactly, yes.
Then he has this list of achievements, and he can come to a resume writing company
Exactly.
and say,
yeah, there you go.
I need, or if he's already has his resume with us, I need these written in a resume. I need it done in a week or two. Can you do this for me? Look, I already have all these achievements right here. Like you should, even if you don't, you really should update your resume every month.
Okay.
And so two things. Number one, or you should at least be making a list of all your achievements.
Exactly.
What this does is if you're not, if you're happy where you're at and you just love the status quo, then by all means, just keep your head down and keep doing your job. But if you're the kind of person that is up for the challenge, is looking to move forward constantly, what's going to happen is if you're not making achievements to put on that list, you're going to start looking around for problems to solve.
Exactly, yes.
If you're the kind of person that already looks around for problems to solve, you're going to have a nice list. And so
Exactly.
you need to keep track of your goals, your achievements, and you need to be putting them on your resume at least once a month.
I
And
like
let's
that.
say like David opens up a new role, like he needs a manager above Jaime for
There's
the
a list of
podcast team.
there's a list of things that he's done that can potentially help him.
Well, he will already have his resume ready
Correct, correct, correct.
to apply to that role. You
Yeah.
know, to be like, oh, I'm gonna apply for that.
The way that I've been doing that I've been doing is I've been telling well, I've told him a while back, but we should write a list of everything you're doing, so that whenever it's time for me to fight for you to get a raise, I have that. You get me? So
And you have a job description written so that if you move
yeah,
him
exactly.
up,
Yeah, it's already there.
it's there.
It's already there.
Yeah.
So they're big points you're saying here, and it's not just for resumes. It
It's
can
for
be
your life.
it's for your life. Exactly.
And one of the things I have in my about section about me, in the early days, I would say this all the time, is like I get to work for my family to earn my income to help you earn more income for your family.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, there's more, like we love our jobs, but there's like a whole behind us. There's a whole group of people or
Yeah.
passion that we're doing this for. And so that's the cool part of getting to share all this information, getting to write people's resumes, because at the end of the day, we're helping them to live better.
Exactly.
For their children, for themselves, for their future family, whatever. And then like on the first page of our homepage, it says meet your future, because that's what we're all about. Meet your
Let me see.
future.
Oh yeah, I see. I see.
You know, this resume is more than a piece of paper. It's just as important as your social security card. You
Yes.
know, and so this can lead to your, like, meet your future resume writer can lead to your future resume, to your future interview, to your future job.
Exactly.
You might get a new dog that, you know, you love so much.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Or a new home, or a spouse,
Yes.
or just your children might end up going to college because of your new job, you know, whatever. Like,
People don't look at the future 2 steps ahead. You know what I mean? And it's important to be ready, to have your resume ready, to have all these skills put into a piece of paper that can be easily given to somebody.
Powerful.
You know what I mean? Okay, so I think we're gonna maybe have you come back. There's a lot more questions that I have for you.
absolutely.
But is there anything that you want to say to the camera? Do a little call to action.
Yeah,
Tell the people out
absolutely.
there what you can offer us or what you can do.
Well, first of all, me and my team actually care about you. We want to see you succeed. Our success is not based on how many people, how much money we make. Our success is based on the fact that you land interviews. And that's why we spend so much time writing one resume, and we work like a boutique service where we only help so many people a month. And that is also why we fill up and end up with a wait list. But it's the way we do things, and it's what works. All of our clients land several interviews within a month of leaving our office. Our professional resume clients, our federal clients get referred regularly and come back to us to write the new update onto their resume, the new job onto their resume. So if you want, you know, if you want more than just a cut and paste resume, we're here for you. If you want continual like cheerleaders on your side, we always ask our clients, come back and tell us when you land an interview. And we actually care about what we're going to create for you. And we know we have been writing veteran resumes for a while now. I have been writing them since 2011, and our team has been writing them since 2017. So we're here to help, and look into our services. Call me up, hop onto my website and set up a free consultation, because you're going to find some amazing help. If you want career advice, if you want to follow me on LinkedIn for a while before you make a decision, go for it. There's plenty of good stuff there. And if you're looking for low commitment and you want to find out what we do, you can jump on the subscription service and start there. Whatever works best for you, we're here to come alongside your goals and help you.
Awesome. Well, there you go, guys. Free consultation doesn't hurt anything. But thank you so much for coming out here, Alexine, and we would love to have you back whenever you have time. let us know and we'll have you back.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
But thank you guys. We'll see you guys next time.